Good afternoon to all our participants in India and good morning to our audience in Germany. Welcome everybody to Training Made in Germany and to our online event, VET on the Move, the Future of Mobility in India. I am Sylvia Niedig, Regional Manager for South Asia here at iMove, and I am so happy that you are all with us today to explore training provisions of German training providers in the field of mobility. Our organization, iMove, is the networking platform for German companies which offer vocational education and further training and for their international partners. Exactly 20 years ago, iMove was established by the German Federal Ministry of Education and Research and is part of the Federal Institute for Vocational Education and Training. This online event today is the fourth of its kind with live pitches by 4 German training providers. Now, let me briefly introduce you to our topic today. Mobility solutions form the basis of well-functioning cities and rural neighborhoods. They play an important role in shaping the quality of life and the image of communities. They also offer opportunities for encounter and for jobs, and they guarantee the security of supply. Therefore, jobs in the mobility sector are highly relevant for the smooth flow of central processes in society as a whole. The mobility sector offers excellent job perspectives, being an indispensable part of modern life and one of the overall most important growth industries. It's not just about transporting people and delivering goods. In the future, mobility will be much less complicated, faster, and more flexible, as well as almost tailor-made for most instances. Means of transportation will be more in sync with each other and with our needs, thus facilitating further flexibility in work and in private life. The expansion of more sustainable mobility models and more eco-friendly micromobility will play a major role in the future. Climate-friendly mobility is a key factor for climate protection. The share of renewable energy in traffic will have to increase immensely. The aim will be to be at the right place at the right time and as energy efficiently as possible. There is a huge potential in the field of electromobility and alternative drive technologies and fuels, and also in the digitalization of the transport sector. In addition to this, autonomous vehicles will revolutionize urban mobility. German manufacturers are renowned pioneers in organizing eco-friendly traffic. Germany's economic success is reinforced by its expertise in vocational education and training and its dual training system. So training made in Germany offers the necessary know-how and quality in order to increase the added value for international partners. With today's issue of VET on the Move, with its focus on the future of mobility in India, we wish to facilitate new cooperation and business partnerships between German training providers and Indian partners in this field. So today, I wish you exciting insights into what the German training industry has to offer. And now I would like to introduce my colleagues to you today who will also take care of today's event and that everything works and functions well. First of all, I would like to introduce my colleague, Mr. Arunachalam Karthikeyan. He is our senior consultant for India and the head of our iMove office in India. Hello, Karthik. Cannot hear you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, all of you, and good morning to our German colleagues. And I'm looking forward to this presentation today. Thank you. Thank you, Sylvia.
Okay. Thank you, Karthik. And I would also like to introduce my colleague, Hannah Göser, who will take care of the technical aspects of today's event. Hello, Hannah.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm very happy to be here and yeah, to be able to support you through this interesting webinar.
Thank you very much. Thank you both for being here with me today. Now, we are going to see and hear presentations of 4 German training providers who all offer training related to mobility. These comprise vocational training, upgrading courses for specialists, and university degree courses. And these offers will be presented in 10-minute pitches, and after each presentation, there will be a 5-minute slot for questions. I will be the timekeeper and remind the panelists when their presentation time comes to an end. Now, some technical remarks for the audience. Your microphones and your cameras have been switched off and will remain so during the whole event, so you can concentrate completely on the 4 presentations. If you would like to pose a question to one of the panelists today, please expand the category questions on the right-hand side of your screen by clicking on the category header. Write your question in the text box, send your question to us, and we will pose it right after each presentation. If you want to contact our panelists directly, please also send your request for contact details via questions. As we only allow 5 minutes for questions after the presentations, we might not be able to pose every question right away, but we will inform each individual panelist about the questions so that he or she can come back to you with the answers later. Now, before the presentation starts, we would like to conduct a short survey and kindly ask you to answer the following question. You can already see it on your screen. It is, what kind of training is of particular importance for you? Is it vocational training in the automotive sector? Or is it specialized courses in electromobility and autonomous driving? Or is it degree courses in mobility solutions? Or is your focus on general upgrading in climate-friendly mobility? Now, I kindly ask you to cast your vote and to give us the information, not only us, but especially today's panelists, to give us the information and a good idea of what your focus is on. Is it on vocational training in the automotive sector? Is it on specialized courses in electromobility and autonomous driving? Is it on degree courses in mobility solutions? Or on general upgrading in climate-friendly mobility? My colleague Hannah will show us the results as soon as they've come in. So please cast your vote now. Please let us know, because it also helps us to give a sharper focus on what you are interested in, especially.
Yeah, hello, Sylvia. I would just like to wait another few seconds to give participants who haven't participated yet the opportunity to vote. But I think, yeah, if you haven't done so, please cast your vote now in 3, 2, 1. I will close the vote now and show you the results. So here we see the results of our vote on the kind of training that is of particular interest to you. And yeah, most people have voted for the automotive sector. And this is followed, actually there's a tie between, on the second position, between specialized courses in electromobility and autonomous driving. And then upgrading in climate-friendly mobility. So we have participants who are equally interested. Yeah, well, the second position is taken by 2 parties that are equally interested in this. And then there are also degree courses in mobility solutions, which is in 4th position and has 70% of interest.
Thank you very much, Hannah. Thank you very much for presenting the results. And now we would like to come to the presentations, and I would like to introduce today's panelists to you and have them present their training offers regarding mobility issues for the Indian audience. Our first panelist will be Mr. Gerald Saule. He is Head of Vocational Training International at Eckert Academy. Mr. Saule will present the comprehensive training offers in the field of automotive, such as vocational training for automotive mechatronics, German Automotive Industrial Master Craftsman International, Train the Trainer program for the automotive sector, and individual and customer-specific seminars. So, Mr. Saule, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to join this event today. And here I will give you my presentation, which I have prepared. I hope you can see everything. It's okay for the moment?
Yes.
Yes, it's okay. So, as mentioned, I'm the head of vocational training at Eckert Schools International. We are a German school based in Regenstauf. Regenstauf is in Bavaria. With our German school, we have more than 70 years experience. So our special offers for our event for today in India, we have mainly focused on 4 topics: the implementation of vocational training in automotive mechatronics. I will give you an idea of the German Automotive Industrial Master Craftsman International. We will have special train the trainer programs in the field of automotive. And the last topic will be an individual custom designed training in this area. First of all, I will give you some idea about our program, Skilled Workers in Automotive Mechatronics. This will be a training program which is carried out according to the curriculum of the German Chamber of Commerce, IHK. We can implement this training in vocational schools or companies. And as I mentioned, every part of this vocational training program is carried out in the accordance of the Chamber of Commerce under the supervision of Eckert Schools International. The training program is carried out in English language, and if it's necessary to have any train-the-trainer programs, we can also offer this knowledge and technology of automotive mechatronics training, which can be the support offered by Eckert Schools International in the field of implementation. These training programs, according to the well-known German dual system, we can develop a curriculum, we can have local support with experienced trainers and teachers, headmasters from Eckert Schools International in India. We can continue the educational training to guarantee the highest possible outcome. And the most important thing, I think, is the intensive preparation for our students to the final examination in India, also carried out by the rules of the German Chamber of Commerce. We have one reference project in implementation such dual vocational training in the field of automotive. We have done this very, very successfully in Vietnam. In Vietnam for VinFast, for the first Vietnamese car makers. In the first step, we had 18 teachers from Vietnam here in Regenstauf to give them the knowledge about the dual vocational education in Germany, to give them detailed knowledge about the automotive sector. In the second phase, experts from Eckert Schools International came to Vietnam to give support in Vietnam directly in Hai Phong at the VinFast company. First idea, first project, we can work together. The second idea, mobility in India, vocational education in India could be a next step, the industrial master craftsman in the specialization of automotive. This industrial master craftsman, it's comparable to the Deutsche Industriemeister. This is a qualification. This is an interface between the production, between the skilled worker and the management. And I think it's one of our success in Germany. This is one of our quality, well-known quality made in Germany, that we have the Deutsche Industriemeister, the German industrial master craftsman, as this interface between the production and the management. Also for this Industrial Master Craftsman International, we have some reference projects here with young people from Malaysia. It was a cooperation with the University of Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and more than 200 young people from Malaysia came to Regenstauf, and we had the specialization part, automotive, mechatronic, CNC production technology, and also electrical engineering and metal. But also, when I come back to our topic from today, also the specialization automotive is offered by Eckert Schools International for Indian customers. Our next offer for the Indian market can be train-the-trainer programs in the field of automotive, train-the-trainer programs for teachers, for headmasters. These train-the-trainer programs can be carried out in different ways. The participants can come to Regenstauf. The experts of Eckert School International can come to India. We can do it as online webinars. So there is many ways to carry out this train-the-trainer program in the field of automotive mechatronics. For this the trainer programs, we have also a lot of reference projects. For example, in 2019, over 100 teachers from China came to Eckert Schools International Regenstauf, and we had a lot of different topics: renewable energies, photovoltaics, automotive, mechatronics, CNC, robotic, industry 4.0, quality management, project management, and so on. The last point for today, there I'm very, very proud, because this was, you see me here at this picture, this was a project we carried out with students from India last year. It was a very, very, very interesting, and it was a very, very successful summer school program for the students from India. All came from Pune, the region of Pune, and I think we had a very, very interesting program in the field of electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, quality management, CAD/CAM solutions, also business administration and foreign languages. And this individual custom designed trainings can also be adapted to the field of automotive. And you see the Indian students here. It was the robotic at the KUKA robot in one of our labs here. We had the ceremony for the certificates, and as I mentioned, it was very, very interesting to work together with these young students. 4 weeks these guests have been in our headquarters in Regenstauf to see professional training, to see also the way of living in Germany and in Bavaria. And as I mentioned, it was a very, very interesting program for me.
Mr.
Yes,
Saule, I must remind you that the time is up, unfortunately.
Yes, from my side, it was a pleasure for me to join this event. And in case of any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. Many thanks for your attention for the moment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Saule. Very interesting insights into 4 different training offers which you have. So I would now like to know from you, Kartik, if there are any questions from our audience to Mr. Saule.
So far, there are no questions, but from my side, I think we can ask 1 or 2 questions to him on behalf of the audience. And can you please further explain the importance of training of trainers, the courses what you are organizing?
Yes, if you think about the dual vocational education system in Germany, and if you want to implement this system, for example, in India, it have to be the trainers who have to be familiar with the thinking, with the functions. They have to be familiar with the curriculum. They have to be familiar with the pedagogics of activity-based learning. They also have to be familiar with the requirements of the IHK, because every examination has to be carried out according to the requirements of the Chamber of Commerce. Otherwise, you will not get a recognized certificate. And that's, I think, that are the main points to learn about how we think how we can, yes, let me say, how we can live this dual vocational system according to the German rules.
Okay, thank you. And you also mentioned that you provide support during examination process.
Yes.
Could you please explain a bit more on this?
Okay, every examination has different parts. Okay, first of all, you have to know the structure of this examination. What is part 1 of this examination? What is part 2 of this examination? What examination part will be done in written? Which examination part will be done in an oral way? Which content will be for part 1, for part 2? How is the time frame? How is the structure of these examinations? All these detail we will have as content in our training programs to get an idea what means examination, what means an examination according to the rules of the IHK, according to the rules of the Chamber of Commerce.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think thank you so much, Mr. Sola, for your wonderful presentation. Thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you, Kartik.
Thanks.
Thank you, Kartik, and thank you again, Mr. Saule, for your presentation. Next in line are Mr. Jan Heinze. He is CEO of Heinze Academy, and his colleague, Mr. Florian Pilat, a hydrogen expert. They will present the recently developed qualification offer on hydrogen technology, conveying expert knowledge on this future technology to experienced professionals. This is an innovative digital training course implemented in close cooperation with partners from science, research, and industry. Mr. Heinze and Mr. Pilat, please introduce your training offer now.
Okay, Ms. Nidiak, thank you very much for the introduction. I guess you can see my screen. I guess you can hear me. So thank you very much for the invitation. We have 10 minutes and we have decided to divide our presentation into 3 parts. The first part is we want to briefly introduce ourselves and of course our institution. The second part is we like to present you the course that in our opinion has a great potential for India. And the third part is we want to close our pitch with a suggestion how we can kick off together, plug and play fast. So first about myself, I'm the owner and the accountable manager of Heinze Academy. I've been the owner and accountable manager for the last 20 years. And if I had to tell you about my professional goal in the shortest possible way, I'd like to tell you, I'm an entrepreneur in education. I love innovation and technology. I love competency-based learning, and I love international engagements. My colleague, Florian Pilat, he's our project manager in what Sylvia Nidiak also already said in our hydrogen expert qualification program. He holds a Bachelor of Engineering in Renewable Energy and a Master in Electrical Energy Systems. And he has professional experience in different research institutes as well as in construction consulting with focus on sustainability. And Florian will present you the most important modules of our course in a couple of minutes. So Heinze Academy was actually founded in 1937, not by myself, as you might imagine, but by my grandmother. We always were, and we are an owner-managed company. We are a family business, a privately owned business. So people choose to work with us, otherwise we would disappear. And we have always focused, and we are focusing on technical further education in different technical areas, like the goal. So the goal is to help industrial employers to access action-oriented talent for transformation, for industrial transformation. This triangle, or is it a circle, is basically the star we steer our company by. We always look for action-oriented didactics. So action is more important than knowledge for us in every project that we take on. And the areas from which we take on projects come from Industry 4.0 transformation topics and from sustainability topics. These three areas are our cornerstones, so to say. So what are the products we offer, the subject areas or the degrees, if you want to? To keep it very short, we focus on state-approved technician degrees. This is a very German degree. It's what we call the small engineer, but it's very widespread in our industry. The second area is professional training with IHK degrees. IHK stands for German Chamber of Commerce in different subject area. And the third area that we're working in, and this is the focus for today, is what we call the certified expert qualification programs. And we run them, for example, in robotics or in lithium battery construction, 3D printing, KI, and others. And we do all this in some core industrial branches, like, for example, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, automotive, construction. And before I come to the last industry that you see down here, I like to stress or point out that we are a German company, but since about 15 years, we are quite international, actually. We have qualification programs, especially in China, but also in the Middle East, in Tanzania, Nigeria, in Spain, and in Turkey. And believe it or not, the lockdown in March 2020 was not the end of our international engagement, but a boost. We digitalized at high speed, and luckily we didn't have to start from zero. And as of today, we have more international course participants on our learning platforms or on live streamings than we actually do have in Germany. So this is fascinating. It's a time full of challenges, but also full of opportunities, and as difficult as it sometimes might seem. So as I said, one of our industries is the aviation industry. Hamburg, as you might know, is the third largest aviation cluster worldwide after Toulouse and Seattle. It's a big network with many companies. I think we have like 400 suppliers only in Hamburg. And the transformation with regard to international climate awareness, to digitalization, to automatization, to global supply chains, build transformation pressures. They have always been there in the last years, but just now with the COVID crisis, the aviation sector and many other sectors also, of course, they need to transform much faster. It's do or die, it's now. So last summer, when Airbus in Hamburg declared that in 2035, Airbus aircrafts will fly 100% decarbonized, the city of Hamburg, the German aviation cluster management announced a call to develop a training for engineers, for technicians in the area of data science, hydrogen, and fuel cell technology. And we won this call. We, Heinz Academy, built up a course with an extensive network of experts, science centers, universities, companies, individuals to develop this course. And I will hand over to my colleague Florian in less than a minute so that he can introduce you to this course. But let me briefly tell you upfront about the following aspects. This course is 100% digital training. There are about 20% live sessions with experts, but they are also digital, so they are streamed. And the course didactics focus on action orientation, on competency building, as I said before, not on knowledge. Even though it's 100% digital, collaboration, social aspects of learning are a main aspect we consider. This, as I said, is what I would say is our secret sauce. Florian, please introduce to our colleagues the main modules of the course.
So thank you, Jan. Thank you for having me. So what is the purpose of this program? The upcoming transformation processes in the mobility, power and heat sectors require quick and solution-oriented development. So this program equips industries and companies with the necessary skills for this. To train these skills, this program is based on 3 modules. Module 1 is designed to bring new technologies such as fuel cell systems into widespread use with the aid of data analysis, digital services, and innovation management methods. So Module 2 prepares engineers and developers to integrate hydrogen and its applications into the work. And finally, Module 3 trains engineers and developers in the design and operation of hydrogen systems. Here we draw on current research and application projects. So thank you very much. Jan, would you please continue? And please switch on your video camera that we have proof that you are not born in 1937.
Okay, here I am. Thank you. To close our pitch in time, I would like to point out two aspects. The course, can you see my presentation still?
No.
Okay, so it doesn't matter, I can do it verbally. It's just to say two aspects at the end of the presentation. The course that Florian just briefly presented is being produced in German language. This was a requirement of the call, but yes, of course, we can do the same course in English language. And we will be proud to do that. It could be a fast kickoff for a cooperation with institutions or partners in India, if you like. And very finally, actually, when Florian and me prepared this presentation yesterday evening, Florian told me that he traveled India after he graduated from university a couple of years ago. And he specifically told me about an adventurous bus trip from Nagarcoil to Madurai and all the activity he observed through the window with regard to wind energy. And he was really fascinated and could very well imagine India's role in a hydrogen world with its geolocation, its access to the sea, and its incredible pool of talent. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Heinz. Okay, wait. Am I on now?
We can hear you, Sylvia.
Can you hear me very well?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Heinz. And also thank you very much, Mr. Pilat. It was a very, very interesting presentation from your side. Very innovative and digital, which is the right thing for the times at the moment. So, Kartik, I'm asking you, are there questions for Mr.
Yes.
Pilat and Mr. Heinz?
Yes. I think one of our participants asked, what is the duration of the course, the digital course which you're offering?
Yeah, this course, it's a good question. This course has actually 640 hours. And it is a full-time course. The design is a full-time course for our German clients. It takes 4 months to do the course, but it's on demand, so we can adapt this course. Of course, we can take off modules, we can adapt it to a part-time course, but as of now, it's 640 hours and it's 4 months of workload.
Okay, and we have two more questions. If the courses are digitally carried out, is there a need for practical sessions?
Can you repeat the question, please?
If the courses are digitally carried out, is there a need for practical sessions? Are there a need for practical sessions?
Practical sessions are always helpful. And we have considered that, of course, also for the course we run in Germany right now. We have taken the decision not to include practical sessions in laboratories or demonstrators, for example, hydrogen demonstrators, because this could be, it could jeopardize the success of the course facing in this Corona situation. But if we can in the future implement practical modules, it would definitely be helpful.
And what are the minimum qualifications for a candidate to join the program?
Our target group are engineers or technicians, but actually the degree itself is not the qualification, but you have to have a minimum engineering experience.
And what about the certification after the course? Do they get an international certificate?
They can. The certificate, as of now, I mean, it's a German certificate. The course is certified by a German educational quality management standard. And this will be the certificate. And if we run it overseas, for example, in India, I can very well imagine to work together with the Chamber of Commerce in India and have them certify the course.
I think we are done with those questions. Thank you so much, again, Mr. Heinz and Sylvia and Mr. Pellet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kartik, for the questions. Thank you, Mr. Heinz. Again, thank you, Mr. Pellet, for very interesting presentation again. We come to our next panelist. This will be Mr. Höfgen. He is Area Sales Manager Europe at Ld Didactic, and he will present training systems for the automotive sector, focusing on electromobility and autonomous driving. Now, the offers include fundamentals of electrical machines up to advanced topics like infrastructure of charging stations or a LiDAR system as a relevant part of autonomous driving. Mr. Höfgen, I kindly ask you to share your information with us now. We cannot hear you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Niedig. I just want to share my screen and then I will start. Just a second. I'm looking for the right click here. Is it working? Can you now see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can see it.
Screen or me in person?
We can
Both.
see you as well as the screen.
You can see both. Oh, thank you very much for letting me know in this, because I don't have this response. So thank you very much for joining this presentation. Greetings from Cologne to India. And I will start with my presentation. My name is Helmut Höfgen. I'm Area Sales Manager at Ld Didactic, and I'm responsible for European countries, but I'm also supporting colleagues in the international market. And so I have to introduce my colleague, Mr. Narendra Parmar. Ness is our colleague responsible for India as a sales manager for Ld Didactic, and he's also managing director for our company in the UK for the Feedback Instruments company. Just a brief introduction about Ld Didactic. We are a pure education company. Our subject is producing equipment for teaching science and engineering. And this you can see here also in this overview. We have these two columns of science and technology, and we have two levels. One level is the school level, secondary school level, and the other level is the university level. The goal for today is, of course, in the field of vocational training, and this is what my presentation will go on, and it also includes Label Digital, our solution for digital education. Let me start with a challenge for vocational education. The challenge is the gap between school and industry. The expectation of the industry on the young students leaving the vocational training, and these are a gap of knowledge, a gap of skills, competences, and of course local requirements could be. And there's the general interest to motivate young people for the field of science and technology, and this gap has to be fulfilled. And we are offering several solutions to fulfill this gap, to guide over this gap. And here we have one example from our e-mobility concept. Well, we do this stepwise, starting with introducing the fundamentals of technology, go on with the principles of technology at the next step, and the final step is, of course, the application of industrial technology or industrial applications. Here you can see the e-mobility as a subject of equipment, but there's also the subject of digital education. In the past, the communication was also with paper and a kind of analog, and we have now a solution to support teachers in digital education with interactive manuals, but this later on. Future of mobility in future. Of course, I thought about what would this be, what would be here required. And I'd like to introduce on 3 points. One point, of course, is electromobility, the electrical drive. And for this, you can see here an overview, electrical motors and high voltage. Safety is a big issue in this point. And we have this special brochure here. As I know, this PDF document would be handed over to you. So you have an option to get access to this. And here we see the content of it. We have several experiments as an example in this brochure. And this is usually the core of our field for e-mobility. We start with the fundamentals of engineering as a hand-on experiment for the students. We go on to the fundamentals of high voltage, electrical drives, hybrid cars, of course, where this e-mobility starts with, high voltage technology up to trainers which work with original components. And these original components, of course, are very important because this guides over from theory, from practical learning to the application in the job. And as you can see here on this slide, we have also experiments for fuel cell technology. The next topic for mobility in future is the digital communication. There are plenty of or several systems of communication in the car, and I just like to show an overview with this slide here. There's the LIN bus technology, CAN bus technology, up to FlexRay and most, just to introduce you on these different options, all covered by different experiments out of our portfolio. And the third part, of course, this is the sensor technology, sensor control or sensor support. Everybody who knows this from a car, more and more sensors will support the driver in driving. And here are just examples for brake assist, vehicle sensors that we place into a didactical equipment, into transparent housings, that the students has a clear view on these sensors. And of course, due to our innovative measurements, it's possible to see the signals. Of course, one of the top or highest level of sensor technology is the autonomous driving. And this guides me over to introduce you on one example of experiments. We have this LiDAR, light emission detection and ranging. And an example of this will be shown from our digital solution, Label Digital. Label Digital, as you can see here, is split in 4 parts. One part already mentioned are the equipment. The second one is the measurement. Third one, very important, is the interactive manuals. Instead of handing over paper, the teacher's handing over a file that the students can work on their tablet, independent on any platform. And Laylab is our online portal where all these things are managed. But let's go online. I will switch my screen to the browser. And here you have an online or a view on my online portal, Höfgen Kolleg. And I'd like to show you this LiDAR experiment. I put in LiDAR and search for it. Just as a side information, here you can see all these chapters as these platform based on. And that was wrong. LiDAR found here. And I choose for an experiment. We have here the description. Due to we are working online, I could translate this. This will be done later on. We have a chapter of description, a list of devices, that we can see here. The student and the teacher can see all these components. And then we have these documents. And I'd like to introduce you on one of the student documents. We have a teacher version 2, the student version of a manual for teaching LIDAR. So you can here see this laptop is a package of different content. So we have text information, we have pictures, we have a structure, and this is a recommendation, an example of an experiment that we support with the equipment. The intention is also that we have the editor for this interactive manual, that teachers on site can adjust these interactive manuals on the local requirements. So students run through, they have to do measurements, they have to do adjustment. And of course, when I scroll down, it's very fast. Here we have an option to go on question and answer mode. Students load up a picture, and maybe you can see it here in the upper right corner. We have a translation option due to Google. Oh, it's not working, sorry. And I'd like to check if it's also working in Hindi. And yeah, as I can see here, I hope you can see it too. And I will go up to the top of this laptop. And this is only one very short example due to the limited time we have today. But this is, from our point of view, the future of digital education, doing experiments in TVET by hand, getting the skills, and get digital support due to the teacher from this. So this got back to my presentation.
Mr. Höfgen, your time is almost up.
This is over. Ms. Niedek, I'm just on time. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much also for the option to do this presentation. If there are any questions, please feel free to contact us. As I know, this PDF would be handed over to you. And we also have an advice here on our upcoming webinars, and we would be happy to welcome you on these webinars too. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Höfgen, for these very interesting insights. You touched some very important topics like bridging the gap between school and industry, and you presented some very interesting solutions for doing this, so to say.
Thank you.
Now, I am calling again on Kartik. Kartik, are there questions for Mr. Höfgen?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Höfgen. And it's a wonderful presentation, and we are really impressed how you can translate it to the Hindi language also. Some of the topics.
To be honest, it was
nice. But yeah, thank you. And there are a couple of questions to you from the audience. And are the e-mobility programs of your company is limited to a particular manufacturer of electric cars?
No, it's not limited to a special manufacturer. Usually the concept that we have seen about motors, electrical motors are free, are very open. And usually also the different systems of communication, the bus systems, CAN bus, LIN bus, SEND, are used from several car manufacturers. There is a close combination with Audi. So you will see it in this brochure. There's a system trainer for e-mobility, for electrical safety. And it's important to mention again, we work with original components out of a car, put them in a didactical way on a board or into a compact trainer. And there's a close cooperation with Audi. A few of our setups are produced in cooperation with Audi. But
Wonderful.
It's usually open. The technology is the same on other manufacturers too.
Thank you. And another question is, what are the qualifications needed to attend these courses? And what would be the cost approximately for the participant?
Well, these are usually hardware that we offer together with the manuals to do the courses or to do the experiments with this hardware. Due to this, it's related to the different experiments we offer. So unfortunately, I cannot talk about cost on this point, but this is related to our local partner that we have. And the other question is, where does it start? Well, you could see in this overview, we have fundamental courses, and these fundamental courses guides the students to the higher level of courses. For example, these autonomous driving, this will never be a fundamental course for a starter. They need to get the knowledge and the skills for the base and in engineering, in electrical engineering. So it starts after secondary schools, maybe in the age of 14 to 16, up to, yeah, usually there's no limit. It's a lifelong learning. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And one remark with the car manufacturer, I missed to say, the basic fundamental experiments we are doing are these plug-in systems. You can see it in the brochure, and this was developed with Volkswagen.
Do you already have an Indian partner and their location?
We have partners in India, resellers who support the market there. To be honest, this would be a nice question to my colleague, Mr. Palmer. If there are any interest, please let us know. You can see the contacts, or you found us anywhere in the website. The contacts are mentioned in the PDF. So we are happy to bring you together.
One question to all the experts today, asked by one of the participants. I'm posting it to you and others also to think about it. Vocational training is largely a practical concept. And
yes.
How will the digital courses bridge the most important part, where a student needs to feel the process of learning practically?
Well, in this example from our Ld Didactic equipment, this is easy to answer. This is not an e-learning course that we support. We support really the related to industry application based hardware that starts with Ohm's law that students have to measure with different resistors and goes up to LIDAR technology, where original components placed in didactical equipment. With this, they perform the experiment, get the skills, and then due to this, they are prepared to go the next step. In this field of automotive, they go to the car and find the same technology as they have learned with our equipment. They found this technology also built in the cars. Not so nicely to get access to the signals. There are no measurement points, but this is, of course, the typical issue of the didactical equipment. This is prepared to do training with it, and the cars usually fault finding is the biggest topic in automotive in the higher level of courses. When a car has any fault, it comes to the workshop, and the technicians there have to find out what is going wrong with this car. And fault finding is also a very high topic in all our automotive courses, not only on those who for e-mobility.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hoffman. And thank you, Sylvia. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Take care. Goodbye.
Thank you, Kartik. Thank you, Mr. Höfgen. Thank you again. So I would now like to introduce to you the last two experts for today. And these will be Ms. Andrea Stammermann and Dr. Sandeep Patil. Both work for the International Academy of the Technical University of Aachen. The presentation will be by Dr. Patil. He's director of the India office of the International Academy. But Ms. Stammermann will also be available for questions afterwards. Now, Dr. Patil will present the study program Networked Production Engineering, NEP, which includes 3 focus areas which offer the opportunity for professional specialization depending on the interests of the students. And these are additive manufacturing, smart factory, and electric mobility production. Dr. Patil, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sylvia, for the kind introduction. I hope you can see my screen. Yeah.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. On the behalf of RWTH Aachen University, I would like to welcome all of you for my presentation on study at RWTH Aachen University. My name is Sandeep Patil, and I'm the Director of India Office at International Academy, as well as I'm a group leader at Institute of General Mechanics. My colleague Andrea will join at the question answer session, and yeah, would be happy to answer your questions. So my today's presentation will be divided mainly into 3 parts. I would like to briefly introduce what is RWTH International Academy. Then I would talk about the network production engineering, which is the topic of today. It's about the future mobility. And then finally, I will talk about the India office, so which is still virtual due to the pandemic. So let's get started with the International Academy. International Academy is affiliated institute to the RWTH Aachen University, and which is mainly focusing on the professional career and administrative support. We are providing 7 master's program completely taught in English, and they are mainly towards the engineering, as well as we have some master's program from the business school also. We also provide the certificate courses as well as in-house programs. For example, digitalization of the industry 4.0, smart factories, and like that programs. We have almost 90% international student for our master's program. Therefore, we have very strong alumni network. So if you see the careers student pursue after their master's degree, almost 70% students stays in Germany. Almost 15% student goes to the overseas, and remaining 15% student go to their home countries. While selecting for going for the higher degrees, I think that the main question comes in a student's mind is, what about the job possibilities after the master's program? Then I think here's the perfect answer from the RWTH International Academy and RWTH Aachen University. Almost 21% of our students get the job offer before they submit their final thesis. So this is because of what they learned during the fundamentals and fundamental knowledge during the courses, theoretical ones, and once they go to the internship as well as master thesis, they try to implement all their expertise, and that's how they are getting mainly the job offers before they complete their master thesis. Almost 90% of the students or alumni get the job before within the 6 months of their finishing their master thesis. So that's how one can see the job possibilities. And because of this employability rate, RWTH standing within a top 50 universities in the world for the employability. So I think we know that there's no really link between the science and industry sometimes, and it's neither direct or nor obvious. Therefore, we need to work on the pathways which can be connect the academics or transfer the knowledge from the university to the industry. There are several ways, like having university patents which can be directly taken into the industry, as well as another thing is university spin-offs, so the startups which can be gone big in an industry. But I think important thing is still is students and researchers mobility. They can transfer the knowledge of university to the industry very effective ways. Therefore, we design our master's group programs in such a way that they can transfer this knowledge effectively from the university to the industry. One of our such a program is NPE, or NPE, or one can say that network production engineering. We have mainly 3 tracks. First one is additive manufacturing. At the end of this program, if one go for the additive manufacturing, one can produce the latest technology and materials. The second track is the electric mobility production, where a student can create the most modern means of transport. That might be e-train or hyperloom or some other examples also. The third track is the smart factory, and where the student once they graduate from this NPE program with the third track, then they can able to design the factory systems for the future. The important key points for the NPE is it will be the master's degree, and which will be awarded from the RWTH Aachen University. This is a completely English taught master's program. However, we encourage students to participate into the language courses during their degree program. It is of 120 credit point course, and therefore it is a 2 years duration. Every year it start in October, so winter semester. So there is a possibility to go for the compulsory internship. However, there is also possibility that one can skip the internship and go for the any particular topic. So we call as the students who are really want to go into the academics, they can choose this second option. Okay, then I would like to go into details with every track. So briefly, the first one is additive manufacturing. This is a very interesting the track where students are try to learn the latest material technology, how they can do it in the 3D printing. So just to give an example, this is a silica aerogel. So you can find this is a lightest material on the earth, and which is having 99.9% porosity. So you can imagine it's almost like a solid skeleton with a 99.9% porosity. So it's nearly like air-like density. Till now, I mean, there was an issue that it cannot be produced other ways, only the chemical process, sol gel process. And because I've been working in this field for quite long time now, so there was a chemist and material scientist were involved. But last year, I mean, early this year, there was one Nature material paper which introduced first time that how one can use the 3D printing directly to make the aerogel. So that's the way to go forward, to make the material lighter, more effective, and that can be used directly for the future technology. So students have an opportunity to learn about the material as well as metal and laser and electromagnetic beams, as well as they can go into the research with any specific topics. Here is some of the equipments what we have in the institute. So for example, here's the 3D printer at IM in our institute. Here is some of the research work we have done. This is a review paper in Material Research Express, where we studied what happened during the additive manufacturing, how the pore size distribution is there, and how they influence the overall performance of the material. The second track is, which is the important one, is electric mobility production. There are several means, I think modern means, which are people are focusing right now because of the let's say fuel issues or environment friendly. So this future or modern means of transport can learn and create by the students. For example, we have one startup which was now one of the big startup RWT have produced, which is e-car production, Ego. You can see here some of the models. The research as well as industry community has appreciated this startup, and now it's a now big company, and where they're producing all the electric vehicles, and there our student have an opportunity to directly study the theoretical knowledge and go to such a startup or such a small scale industry and learn how to create the power tools for the electric cars. We have really 20 or more than that number of students who have been working on a hyperloom. So some of the students are coming from this NPA course, as well as there are some other groups also who have been working on a prototype of e-train. So these are the possibility. We try to combine the academics with a real world the prototypes or real world problems, and our students have also possibility to go into the details with the research. So for example, in a battery production, battery components, recycling. Just to go into more detail with this topic, I would like to present here this institute, production engineering and e-mobility components. RVTI invested almost 19 millions of euros in the infrastructure of the electric vehicle production, from battery to engine and to the assemble vehicle under the roof of this institute. So our university is putting a lot of efforts towards this e-mobility. There's one more joint venture between the 4 institutes of our RWTH is the E-Lab, which is Electromobility Laboratory, which is offering the infrastructure for the research into electromobility. Here, some of the one of the picture of a battery system where they study the battery testing, as well as they see the performance, as well as the different materials can be used for the battery system. So these are the things have been studied, and researchers have been studying into this E-Lab. So the last track of this master course is a smart factory. I think here is the students are trying to understand and study the design, how one can make effective factory system for the future, where they can use the production area effectively and organize itself. Also, they can use the latest technology like a cyber physical system or digitalization into making the factory space or production area more convenient with the latest machines. So with this, I would like to talk about the perspective of this master's program. As we know that this is an interdisciplinary and integrative approach for this course. So therefore, there's a wide range of industry or technology where our students can go. For example, automobile, supply chain, electric industry, as well as mechanical, and of course with the electric vehicle industry. Beside this, if students are choosing this additive manufacturing track, they can go for the chemical and metallurgy industry, as well as industry and economy associates. As I mentioned earlier, we are focusing on fundamentals, fundamental knowledge, theoretical knowledge, and this course already covering this work, material and transport, or let's say modern transport. Student will have a great opportunity to go into the PhD, so to say that academic career. So this is the perspective of this course. As I mentioned, I mean, we have 90% of students coming from the internationally. So 90% student, among them, I think almost 85% students are coming from India. So we have a huge Indian students for the courses. So here some of the snapshot of the students who are enjoying their the social events and cultural events before they start their studies, as well as during the initial part of the studies. We organize so many events so that they can socially involve and culturally they can get the cultural enrichment in them. So it's like we generally put a short form for the International Academy INTAC. So here is 2017 batch who made this nice with their standing over there. Here is the one more topic which I would like to focus on is the India office. This is a cooperative venture between the Institute of General Mechanics, this is my institute, RWTH Aachen University, and RWTH International Academy. We jointly found this India office, which is Academy IIM India, which will be located in Pune. And due to the pandemic, we are keep on postponing our the physical presence. However, very soon we'll be there in Pune as an India office, and all the activities will be done from that office then. The primary goals of this office is to get the really good quality of master's degree program students, so that we can already get the ideas that okay, how the students are coming, from where they're coming. We are trying to focus on the NITs, IITs, and some of the well-known institutes of India to enroll them into such a master's program. As well as we would like to focus on the research-based collaboration between the RWTH and reputed Indian university. I think everyone knows that there is a strategic partnership between RWTH, Aachen University, and IIT Madras. So we are trying to use those effectively and try to promote RWTH in other parts also, because of this bilateral fundings like DFG, DST, we have a lot of opportunity to apply for these fundings and get it for the research. Also, another aim for Academy IIM is encouraging industry and industry professional to connect RWTH. With this, I would like to thank you for your attention, and I would be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Patil. Thank you very much for your very interesting presentation on a degree course offer by the very renowned University of Aachen. Now I'm calling again on Kartik, my colleague Kartik. Do we have questions for Dr. Patil?
Yes, thank you, Sylvia. And there is a question from one of the participants about your offering. Do you also offer a TVET course?
TVET?
Technical vocational education courses, apart from the university courses.
Andrea could answer better, but what I know that we are offering summer schools that are on campus, off campus. So there are a variety of summer schools. One can find it. The popular one is in automotive sector. I think automobile component design, something like that, as well as we are providing something in robotic systems. So these are the certificate courses and summer schools we offer. I think Andrea, could you like to talk something about the summer school and certificate courses?
Yes, of course. The summer schools take place either 6 months or 9 months, and as Dr. Patil has already said, that they mostly focus on automotive engineering or robotic systems engineering, and you can sign up, and right now they're all online, of course. But yeah, that's basically it.
Good. And there is one more question. And are you willing to partner with the engineering colleges in India?
We do, actually. For the moment, we have been working with several institutes, like I would like to name a few, like COAP, College of Engineering Pune. With them, we are trying to make a bond stronger with signing MOU, but not yet. But trying to make the contact with the reputed university indefinitely, and that was the goal for India office also in coming years, to get the good quality of students straight away from the university, make them fit for the RWTH, because if you see the bachelor courses from India, some of the university offering really great in detail with the mathematics 3, machine design 2, and other in detail, but some of them are missing with some credit points, and then ultimately they face the rejection at the end. So we don't want to have happen that with the good students. So if we have some good partnership with the already well-established university, then we can provide them a good support at the start itself.
Thank you. There is one last question from my side. You mentioned the 90% employment rate of your graduates. Does it refer to those who get employed in Germany or in general?
This is in general, and to be honest, it is before pandemic. So I think everyone knows that. No need to mention it, but it's before pandemic, and it's overall. Because I think the recent trends, what I see from my students, because I'm also academic advisor for the 2 masters program, there's a lot of opportunity to get the different scholarship, like a Marie Curie scholarship all over the Europe. They generally catch those scholarship and go for the PhD programs, and which are getting popular more in our this master's program. Therefore, we are just calculating overall placements.
Good. I think that we are done with all the questions, and thank you so much, Dr. Patil and Ms. Andrea. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sylvia.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I should say thank you to you all, iMove team, giving us opportunity to present our study program. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much. Oh, please. Ms. Stammermann, if you would like to say something, you can.
I just wanted to thank you.
Oh, okay. So thank you very much, Ms. Stammermann. Thank you very much, Dr. Patil. Also, thank you, Kartik, for the questions. Now we come to the end of our online event today. I would like to thank all the panelists and the audience for being with us today and for sharing their information and questions. And I would also like to thank my colleagues, Kartik and Hannah, for organizing and conducting the event together with me. If you, as an audience, have further questions, or if you want to get in touch with today's panelists, please do not hesitate to contact us. We are looking forward to hearing from you soon, and we will keep you up to date on training made in Germany on our website imove-germany.de. As soon as you leave this event, you will find one last question from us regarding your opinion on how you liked the event. We are looking forward to your answers. And for now, the whole iMove team sends kind regards. Please stay safe and healthy, and goodbye. I hope to see you all in the near future. Thank you very much for being with us today. Bye-bye.